Will you join me in the prayer to the Holy Spirit? Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful, and kindle in them the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit, and they shall be created, and you shall renew the face of the earth. O God, who by the light of the Holy Spirit did instruct the hearts of the faithful, grant that by the same Holy Spirit we may be truly wise and ever enjoy his consolations. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. My name is Melanie Rogers, Mountaintop Great Banquet number 48, and the name of this talk is By Faith. Hebrews chapter 11 is sometimes called the chapter, or the Hall of Faith chapter. It is a summary of sorts of a large number of people who God called out of their comfort zones to do extraordinary things. Ordinary people that God called out of their comfort zones to do extraordinary things. People like Noah, Abraham, Moses, who he was talking about a little earlier, Rahab, Gideon, Joshua, and David, among others. Each of these people were delivered a message in one form or another. Some saw or received a message from an angel of the Lord, and some got a message directly from God. Imagine for a moment the experience. Take yourself back. Moses, hanging out on a mountain, attending a flock for his father-in-law. And all of a sudden, through a burning bush, an angel of the Lord appeared to him. As if that wasn't enough, then God spoke to him, calling him to do extraordinary things. How were these people able to do what God was asking them? I'll give you a hint. The phrase, by faith, is used at least 22 times in the chapter 11 of Hebrews alone. 22 times, by faith. I don't know about you, but over the years I thought, well, if God appeared to me in a burning bush, or he came to me in a dream, then I'd get it. I'd understand what he was asking for. Right? Doesn't happen that way so much. All I really need is clear directions, right? So as I was preparing for what I was going to say tonight, I ran across a video that made me consider how God is sending us messages today to get out of our comfort zone and obey him by faith to do his work here on earth. You can find the video I'm talking about if you Google it. That again was not around in '89, but we'll help you out. If you Google shoulder taps, you're going to get one of two things as your first video. You're either going to get a really nice core workout where you're holding a pose and you're doing shoulder taps, right? Skatinsky will show us later. Or you're going to get a brief testimony from a gentleman who said that he was sitting in a restaurant one evening and he noticed a woman sitting by herself at the time, later joined by some family, and he just couldn't get rid of this feeling that he was supposed to go and talk to her. So they ate their meal, and before he left, he listened to God. He went over to the woman, keyword here, he stooped to her eye level and said, "Ma'am, if no one else has told you today, I want you to hear from me just how lovely you are." Taken aback, she said, "I know you." He said, "No, ma'am, I'm sorry, you don't know who I am. We don't know each other." And she said, "I know your spirit. You see, my husband died a year ago, and that's something he would have said just like that." It was a brief encounter, but both left blessed by the fact that he listened to the shoulder tap, the nudging, the words in his head, the voices in his head. You know which kind, right? Not those voices. The voice in his head that just wouldn't let him stand up, pay his bill, walk out, and think, maybe next time. They were both blessed because he responded to God's call. So, how do we recognize these shoulder taps? If it's not a burning bush, if it's not God appearing to us, his voice in our heads, if it's not the angel of the Lord coming to us in a dream, how do we recognize them? What are we supposed to do? How do we have our clear directions? Let me ask you something. It may seem like a silly question, and I hope my technology works, but it may seem like a silly question. I have to be very careful of how I ask this, okay? So, how many of you have seen the real Santa Claus, like at the North Pole? Okay? The real Santa Claus at the North Pole. So, the North Pole is very important because we may have all seen the real Santa Claus. But at the, I gotta know my audience, right? At the North Pole. How many people have seen Santa Claus at the North Pole? No hands. So, yeah, see? By faith, I'm going to ask Shannon to click for the first slide. Would you recognize this gentleman as Santa Claus? Yeah. How about this guy? Yeah? And now this guy? Looks a little different. He's from the Netherlands. Leave him up there just for a second, Shannon. But you would recognize him, right? How many of you have seen the real Jesus Christ, eye to eye? The real guy. The real guy. Let's look at these pictures. Some of you have. Look at these pictures. The next one. Would you recognize this man as Jesus Christ? And this one? And but of course this one. Why do we recognize these people if we haven't seen them eye to eye, face to face, real human interactions with these people? Why? Because we have faith in who they are and what they are and what they mean to us. We have faith. So we don't know exactly what God's calling looks like or what it sounds like or maybe what it feels like. But if we're honest, if we're really honest, we know. We know, and we can recognize God's shoulder taps or the voices that are not those crazy voices in your head, or the nudging, or this feeling in your gut that you just can't go without doing something that just isn't your idea. This isn't my idea. You would recognize those shoulder taps. That's God calling us, nudging us to do something, to go into action on his behalf. Okay? So now we've admitted we can hear the voices, we feel the nudges, we feel that shoulder tap. Now what do we do about it? How do we actually go about living by faith to carry out his request? Well, there's a couple verses in the Bible that you may want to go to for that. Philippians 4:13, some of you may know that one, right? I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So I think that means our next step, or the answer, is to ask a request of our own, to put out a request of our own. If we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength, then we need to ask for his guidance. We need to ask for him. What do? I hear. I feel the nudging. I hear the voices. What do? I pray to Christ and I ask him for his guidance, because through all things, through Christ I can do all things. But God isn't asking us to do things by ourselves. He is asking us to ask for guidance. And in John chapter 15, verse 5, which reads, "For apart from me, you can do nothing," gives you that confidence you don't have to do it alone. I can do everything, not just some things, not just the fun things, not just the things I want to do, but I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength, and without him, I can do nothing. So, need a quick review on how to center your life on Christ so we can follow through on this? Mail got us started. She needed to know the 15 talks, right? And the theme of each of the 15 talks. Let's listen to this. How do you get your life centered on Christ? Discover your priorities. Accept God's gift of grace. Take part in the ministry of all believers. Focus on your response to grace. Work on your relationships with yourself, others, and God. Look for God's truth through studying his word. Celebrate and honor the sacraments. Commit to living a life of Christian action. Be aware of the obstacles to your grace. Be a disciple. Change your environment when you need to or when you're called to. Embrace a life of grace. Be a part of the body of Christ. Find the staying power to keep on establishing the priorities that God has for you in this life. So what is God tapping you on your shoulders to do? Is he calling you into ministry in your community or at a place of work? And I'm not sure if Melissa Miller's here. Is Melissa here? No. Anybody see it on Facebook? Yeah, you know what it is. If you didn't see it on Facebook, she went home after being a guest just last weekend. Went home to her gym where she instructs gymnastics, and she gathered them all around. One day she taught them a lesson. The next day, I can't believe this. I am so, Melissa, unbelievable. I wish I had thought this. You could make money on this. She didn't do dying moments. Little ones aren't ready for dying moments. No, she did trash talk. And you could see them having crumpled up things that people had said about them that were trash. They were unreal. They were untruth. They were hurtful. They were crumpled up and put in the middle of a fire pit. Yeah, a homemade fire pit. And you know what they did with those. They sent them up. They're gone. They gave them up to God. And the response from one of the little girls in a letter was adorable. But basically it said, thank you. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for wanting more for me, expecting more from me, and also thank you for bringing God to me. Amazing. It was amazing. Maybe that's what he's calling you to do. Is he calling you to ministry wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing? Perhaps he's calling you to continue to serve in this community. Maybe he's asking you to be part of leadership of this community. From what I understand, rumors have it that there's a couple spots open for leadership on the board. Think about it. What was that shoulder tapping? What was that funny feeling in your stomach when you read that on Facebook? There's a lot of work to be done to move this ministry to a new location. Maybe that's what God is nudging you to do. Think about it. Your first step in staying in tune with God so you can recognize his nudges, then is to live by faith. And respond to the shoulder taps, the nudges, the voices to do God's work here on earth. I have 2 takeaways from this. This is what I'd like you to think about as I wrap up. Listen carefully to God calling you to do something. And prepare yourself so you're ready to live by faith and do that something. Those of you who know me know that it's Name That Tune on the way to Fairgreen Presbyterian Church. I hope that continues at Zion. I hope that a location doesn't mean that God's not going to speak to me through music. But I want to say 2 things. First, when I look at that and I see all of you, I think, welcome home. Welcome home. So welcome home. I should have started out with that, but welcome home. And the second thing is some lyrics as I was coming into church today. Not a text message from God, but I took a picture of the lyrics. Really cool. That's what I'm talking about. Burning bush, text message me, God. I'll listen. I'd listen to Burning Bush too. It just would be a little weird. And I want you to think about this as Pat and Mike go into communion, as we say the Lord's Prayer, if that's what we're going to do. I heard the words of the song. First of all, I got to thank Cicely Watkins, one of my share group members who texts songs. She'll send a song. I was thinking of you. Listen to the song. I think you'll like it. This is one she sent me, and it's one we've had a conversation over. We don't always, but I want you to know it's the song. Maybe it's okay that I'm not okay. Maybe it's okay to not be okay. Because I have had so many people in my life tell me, it's okay if you're not okay. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to feel. I don't know that. But if somebody tells me maybe it's not, maybe it's okay that I don't feel okay, thank you. Because that reinforces the fact that, you know what, I don't feel okay, and I'm okay to tell you that, because you're not telling me how to feel. And in that, I just can't pass this up. I'm going to read something, and you probably will think that it sounds familiar. Father, let your kingdom come. Let your will be done here in my heart as it is in heaven. That touched me. Maybe it's okay that we're not okay, but it's not okay to stay there, right? We got to keep working. We got to keep moving. So, I want to leave you with 2 questions. You got your challenge. I want to leave you with 2 questions. First, what has this Mountaintop Great Banquet meant to you? And 2, what are you going to do about it? Dave Flores.